You're listening to
Rice, Beans, and Revolution, motherfucker.
All right, episode number 2. Thanks for listening. Thank you to everybody who's been sharing the podcast and subscribe. Appreciate it. Please spread the word. So today I was able to work. It was my day off, so I was able to work on my screen printing press. Yeah, so I went down to the hardware store, got my supplies, and I spent the afternoon putting it together. And hopefully now I'll be able to not just make T-shirts for my band, but, offer T-shirts to local bands at a fair price. We'll see. Still learning. Anyway, on today's episode, I have an interview with a friend of mine. His name's Oi Steve. And he's been in the punk scene for the longest time, since back in the, I think, early 80s. And he's quite the character. Also, I'll be playing a song by a local band that is no longer around. In fact, I'll go ahead and play that first before the interview. So the band's called the Haskels. And I recently found a cassette tape I was able to transfer to my computer, and I'll be playing a song off the tape for you guys. The song is called Burn Hollywood. And again, it's by the Haskels from 1998. And here we go.
Try and tell me how I need to live, but I'm not listening to advice you give. You have solutions for a boring life. I won't give in to that continuous strife. Tell me I need a paying job. I'm trying to tell you I can't concentrate. I'm just pointless waste of time. That shit I really hate. So I choose to do what I want. And no regrets or no money, but I have plenty of fun. Don't care about playing music all night long, just to pass the time. When the sun is up, I'm fast asleep. I've been dreaming in the afternoon. Pick up my head, roll out of bed, then go back to the fuck to sleep. Some people tell me that I am lazy. Spend my life with my eyes hazy. Don't have solution of a plan. Doesn't make me less of a man. So I choose to do what I want. No regrets or no money, but I have plenty of fun. I don't care about playing music all night long. This is past the time.
And now, this.
There are places that I don't like to play. I'll never play McAllen, Texas again. You guys suck.
All right, let's get started.
Okay. What are you going to do? Have a show on the radio?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be on the radio. It's a podcast, so it'll be on the internet.
Oh, okay.
So that means everyone in the world, potentially, could listen to it if they want.
Cool.
All right, so I'm here with Oi Steve, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know who he is. You've been at a punk show, the last 20, 30 years. I'm sure you've seen him. Hey, Steve.
What's up?
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
All right, so let's see. I was trying to remember the other day how we met. It was at I want to say Trenton Point.
I was before that. It was Palmer Pavilion when
Palmer
you guys, first started.
All right.
You guys were young.
I mean, I remember seeing you before I actually met you.
Yep.
I would see you around at shows.
I think you guys opened up one time for Dead Horse or somebody like that, or the Confused who've been around forever.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I can't remember all the bands we ever played with.
Right.
I know you're not originally from the Valley, so where were you born and how'd you end up here?
I was born in Muncie, Indiana in 1963.
Isn't that the year 63? What happened? Kennedy.
Yeah, he got shot.
What do you know about that?
The grassy knoll.
All right. So how'd you end up in the Valley anyway?
We moved here. My dad was a truck driver, and he was one for 58 years straight. And he was coming down here all the time from the 70s on, the late 60s actually. He would come down here, bring whatever, and take produce back up north. And we decided in 1980, we've had enough of this cold weather up here, so we just moved here. And we were originally going to move to Dallas and said, that's too big, it's too much. Austin, we found a place, but it was out in the country, in the mountains, in the hills. And my mom was like, no, the sons will all die because they drink too much and these roads are bad. So we ended up in the Valley.
In the Valley. So McAllen originally? Or
Yeah, McAllen.
Okay. And how old were you then?
16 years old.
16. So that means you went to Mac High?
No. I actually went, that was the first year Memorial High School became Memorial.
Oh, wow.
Before that, it had been Brown Junior High. Then it became Memorial, and I took vocational at the end of the day, 3 hours a day for vocational, and Memorial didn't have vocational, but they offered it. And when I took it, block and bricklaying, I would have to go, it didn't matter how I get there, from Memorial to Mac High. I went to both at the same time.
Okay, right. So they would bus you over to one
Yeah,
school.
or you could drive your own car, walk, hitchhike, crawl, whatever, as long as you got there.
Right. So you're 16, you moved to the Valley. It's a whole different experience than living in Muncie.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you get into music? Specifically, how'd you get into punk?
Well, believe it or not, I was always me and my friends discovered in like 75, 76 on TV and Tom Snyder's show. We saw the Plasmatics and knew about them, and then the Ramones. And my friend had an 8-track tape that somebody threw away or something, and he found it, and it was a recording of the Dictators live. And we liked that. And then I saw AC/DC, me and him in 77 with Kiss. And it was, I have all my ticket stubs. I posted them. And anyways, it was 77. And on the ticket, it says Kiss, and that's it. And then we were like, whoa, it's AC/DC. And they opened up, and Kiss let them use their speakers.
Uh-oh.
So it was different. It was Bon Scott, and it was heavy.
You got into heavy metal first?
Well, hard rock.
Hard rock?
Black Sabbath, like everybody. Black
Right.
Sabbath, Skinner, all the whole deal. I liked everything, but I liked a lot of the original Blue Oyster Cult before Reaper and all that stuff.
Right.
Rare, heavy stuff for back then.
And then you heard the Ramones. You heard the Dictators.
Yeah. Dictators before I heard the Ramones.
Yeah?
Yep.
New York, right? Out of New York.
Yep.
What's his name? The singer.
Handsome Dick Manitoba.
Handsome Dick Manitoba.
Still owns a bar in New York called Manitoba's.
Yeah. Well, last I heard, actually, he was having financial problems.
Oh, yeah.
They were New York City was trying to close it down. I don't
Yeah.
know what happened with that. Anyway, so what was the first punk album? Do you remember what the first album you got? Or
Well, when I
cassette?
moved here,
8-track?
my friends Rick McGee and Phil Dorman and Kevin McCone, God rest his soul, they had a guy down here that was in a band down here, the original punk band that I heard of, the earliest I know, the Steroids. And Jim Cairo was in that band, him and his sister, she was a singer, and they turned Phil Dorman and Rick McGee onto this music. And then I met them guys through school and partying and whatever.
And what were they? Were they from here originally?
Well, Rick McGee was from Guam. He was born in Guam. His dad was an Army lieutenant or something in the not CAF, and the Confederate, not the Confederate.
Not the Confederate.
The Air Force that had the bombs and all that. Zach
Okay.
Holberg's dad was in it too.
All right.
Anyway, Strategic Air Command. And he was in it. And he was stationed in Guam. Rick McGee was born there and moved here.
So, you met
And
these
then-
guys in high school? Is that?
Yeah.
At Memorial.
Well, I met Phil Dorman there, and then I met Fat Jose, who we all know about Fat Jose, the 550-pound drummer. God rest his soul.
Yep.
And then I met all these guys through Phil Dorman.
So, and how about the band? What was it? The Steroids? Were they local? Were they McAllen based?
Yeah.
Did they also go to Memorial? Or
I don't know. When I met them, they weren't even, I mean, they were older than me. I
Were
didn't,
they?
yeah, when I was like 16, 17, they were already like 19 and stuff, 20. I don't know.
Did they ever record? Did they ever?
I don't know.
You're not sure.
I know the guy that came out with that movie that's going to come out.
Right, the documentary.
Yeah,
Walking in the Valley.
they found footage of them.
Oh wow.
I talked to Rick McGee on the phone from Dallas, where
Right.
he lives, and he told me they dug up footage. They have footage of them playing live and stuff.
Wow.
Rare stuff. Yeah, and because they had a show at the Villa Real Convention Center where the Harley Davidson place is now on
Right.
Benson,
Mm-hmm.
and they opened up for a band from Austin called the Skunks.
Well, what can you tell me about the Fart Blossoms?
Fart blossoms from your anus. Where do fart blossoms come from? Your anus.
From Uranus.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
Well, they came around because my friends, like I said, turned me on to hardcore punk and all that in 1980. And I took a liking to Oi for some reason because it was more hard rock based.
Right.
I mean, it had heavier, it was hard rock. I didn't mind hardcore thrash, but it wasn't really I
Cup of
liked
tea.
it. It just wasn't my favorite. Never was.
Right.
Then I heard Fang. Oh my God. Fang from the first album, Land Shark Go, early Black Flag, of course, like
Right.
everybody, the Circle Jerks and all them, Minor Threat and all that. I had that stuff recorded on 8-track tapes. That's a long time ago.
How'd you guys one of you bought the album and everybody just kind of copied?
Yep, we'd call each other. There was no cell phones and no computers. Social media was a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and then we'd meet up at
Right.
my house because I had a party house. And my dad was never there, and my mom didn't care as long as I stayed out of jail. She was okay with it because,
Right.
at our house, you were not in jail. You weren't on the streets.
Right on. And so the Fart Blossoms, did they ever record?
I think so. I'm not sure if Art or who has anything by him, but there's stuff out there. I talked to Art just the other day,
Right.
and I was because I have this upcoming show when I can get it together, probably November. I'm thinking because there's too much stuff going on in October, and the Fart Blossoms were gonna reform
That would be great.
with some people, and Art said, no, we don't have enough time. I can't even find a drummer. I got to get
Right.
because they need a drummer.
So, who was originally in that band?
Fat Hoser, my best friend, Jose
On
Garcia
drums.
on drums, a 550-pound drummer who never missed a beat and would smoke a whole cigarette and the ash wouldn't even fall off. Okay, and wore a purple suit when he played. He's funny.
Whoa.
And yeah, and Jason Levine on vocals, and Art Nava on lead guitar, and Ronnie Zamora on bass, and we got together, and one night we were going to form a band. I was going to be the singer, and we never we were just too wild, and we were going to call our band the Cops, Connoisseurs of Porn. That was going to cop. And yeah,
I'm sure that would have gone over great.
but I mean, it never. We were just too far out there. Especially me. I was gone on
Right.
drinking and whatever. Party favors.
So at that when did you get the nickname Oi Steve?
and basically from Angela.
Oh yeah.
Yep, from Ink Bag, and because I would go to shows and I would always scream out "Oi, oi, oi," and people would look at me because I always went to shows. For a while there, I had a nail head, a discharge style. I had a mohawk sort of, and then I was a skinhead.
That's when I first saw you. You were sporting the skinhead look.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I went to work on a ranch and went with my dad in the truck, and I started wearing a cowboy hat, and I've worn one ever since.
Oh, all right. So let's see here. So after all these years, why are you still going to shows? Why are you still in the scene? Like, what's kept you around?
It's a part of me. I mean, it's just a part of me. I mean, it's kind of a hobby for me, but it's also a lifestyle.
Right.
I mean, I was going to shows with a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, big buckle, dipping the whole 9 yards, and people would look at me and spit on me and stuff until they knew when the band would play, and I knew every lyric, every song, knew the singers, knew the bands, knew everything, and they would freak out. And I was like, see, looks can be deceiving, and screaming out "oi" and all that, and that's just kind of how it happened,
Right.
And I just stuck with that look because it's comfortable for me. I like it. It's Texas. Hey, man,
Texas is the reason.
Yep, cowpunk. So there you have it.
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you've been sober now for how long?
I think I'm at 175 days.
175 days.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, or maybe more. 180 days, I think, at the end of this month. 6 months. Because, back in the day, a lot of people don't know they romanticized the 80s. Unless you were there, it was hit or miss. A lot of us were not straight. We were bent edge.
Right.
The more drugs, the harder, the better. The more alcohol, crash your car. We didn't give a shit. Pardon my language, but, we really didn't until we all started going to jail and dying, and then people just had to wise up. I'm 53 years old in 3 days. I had to snap out. I went to jails, prisons. I've been all that. Rehabs, I've done it all.
Right.
You just...
Now that you go to shows sober, how is that different than not?
It bothers me sometimes because I want to be like a part of the in crowd per se.
Right.
But then again, I start thinking, well, I'll leave it to you younger guys. I'll let you go through what I've been through. Hopefully you won't, because you won't like it. Not the bad part. The fun times were fun as all, but the bad times are bad as all. So I just had to. I'm not married. I have no kids. My parents are dying. My mom's going to be 90 tomorrow, 12 o'clock tonight. And I take care of her. I'm a provider for 2 other people, her and my brother's sick. And it's time to man up.
Right. Shit happens, right?
Yes, it does every day.
Any last thing you want to say before we play a song?
I'm a part of the breed that's a breed apart.
All right. What song do you want us to play?
Oh, I don't know.
What do you want to hear?
I'm going to Hollywood by Fang.
Here we go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to Hollywood. They'll say that I'm so good. I won't care how I feel, and I'll get the fuck Brooke Shield, and I'll just sit and grin. The money will roll right in. And I would give you some if you only would have treated me nice, and you wish that you did. You'll feel pretty stupid, and I'll just sit and grin. The money will roll right in. And I'll just sit and grin. The money will roll right in. It's fun to be a star. It's nice to have a car. Yeah, you'll have to admit that I'll be rich as shit. And I'll just sit and grin. The money will roll right in. The money